Hey, bubbling, coming in, crushing this art. Back at it, middle of winter. This is Aquarius. This is where the Chinese New Year starts when the when the first new moon hits Aquarius. True that. So, straight up, this is someone that doesn't need anyone else's input, right? Like, first house personally, they're trying to understand the logic of things, the fixed air. They're trying to understand what sticks conceptually, right? Ruled by Saturn, opposite to Leo. So something that they may need to learn is, hey, sometimes like if you figure out what everyone else thinks, right, then you can like yourself can express the like ideals, the virtues, or whatever that all these people agree with, and then you can shine, and everyone else will love that, right? So this person, like personally, is like, well, like, hey, like, I know what works. It doesn't really matter if everyone else agrees, right? But that's their first house. Their seventh house, their one-on-one relationships is almost saying like, hey, but sometimes like you could put on a show, you know? Sometimes you could get other people's input. Sometimes you could be the center of the stage, right? So that's their 1 versus 7, what they learn from one-on-one relationships and who they are personally, right? So now if we go to the 4th house versus the 10th house, their 4th house is Taurus. So this would be someone that their inner circle is like stable, right? And it's harmonious. They don't want any Martian energy there. They just want the people that they fuck with there. And they want, like, if you're on their inner circle, this is the type of person that they're keeping you there. Or, like, if you do end up leaving, this is someone who would take that hard. Like, or if someone leaves your inner circle and you're in Aquarius rising, you probably take this hard with Taurus in the 4th house. Like, you'd be used to stability in your inner circle. So versus the 10th house, this is where their obsessive energy comes in. So publicly, they'd be seen as someone who's obsessive, which could be because, hey, they stick to their guns, right? They're not trying to look for anyone else's opinion. And with that, publicly, it's like, whoa, man, like, what do you want? It's almost kind of the energy that comes across, right? So yeah, so now if we move on to the 2nd versus the 8th, their 2nd house is Pisces. So a lot of their values, they really get sucked into what they value. And so maybe early on they valued things that weren't so beneficial, right? And then they get lost in that emotionally and they get like stung internally. But this would hopefully allow them to set up safeguards so that things that they do get lost into emotionally are positive, right? But this is a very receptive energy. So this is someone who is like, their values aren't going to be like what they value today. It's almost based on what's going on. It's almost like based on what makes sense in the moment. And then they're going to get really involved into that emotionally, whatever they do value. So yeah, so that's the 2nd versus the 8th, Virgo. What goes on behind closed doors is just like them figuring stuff out, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so like privately, stuff you wouldn't even see and stuff their inner circle wouldn't even know about, or things that are just hidden to them, like things that just pop up out of the blue, like that are like otherly, like inheritance or just things like that, like just like a random gift from a friend that you didn't even see coming, right? Like you don't give gifts all the time or something like that. This would like be in a Virgo nature, so it'd be like something earthly, something practical, right? Something that makes sense. Yeah, so it looks like, yeah, a lot of their, like, they'd keep their emotions close, it seems like, with the Pisces in the 2nd house, whereas like when it's just like calm, cool, and collected understanding, this is something that is behind closed doors. So it is interesting. It's almost like the Aquarius, the one, like it's the water bearer, right? It's the one that like holds the emotion but doesn't necessarily feel it. It's like with their values, it's almost like they got lost into so many things emotionally that they learn that, hey, that's something people do, is they get lost in something emotionally and then they keep themselves at a distance, but they still work with what they value like deeply, if that makes sense. And then they keep their more calm, cool, and collected side, or the Virgo side is more in the behind closed doors, right? So it is someone who like does seem like they do like work deeply with emotion, right? Even though like they are an Aquarius, so yeah, so they're still like a calm, cool, and collected person, like an air sign. So that's the 2nd versus the 8th. Now the 5th versus the 11th is Gemini versus Sag. So how they express themselves is mutable. It's like I could express myself this way or that way, but it's depending on the moment, Gemini. So yeah, and a very air, like they're good communicators, right? Versus the 11th house, this is someone when they do associate with things publicly, like they can get lost in that. Like maybe they're trying to, or they see like certain businesses that they feel like they could affiliate with or fuck with, and then like in trying to go from that, maybe they go too far and they get burnt, right? But this is someone who like Sag here has a lot of experiences learning from who they associate with publicly, not necessarily like a one-to-one level or a close level, but what what other businesses or what other like people that are doing something similar that they do, or like in the same arena, like who they keep close to them. They may get lost in situations where they're at like dinner parties or stuff like that, just going too far, right? Having to learn from that, which makes sense because they are an individual person. So it's like having the Sag energy there, it's almost like they're receptive in public arenas to what people believe, and then they're like trying to express or go like come at it from what they resonate with spiritually or from what they resonate with intellectually. So they could go like too far in that expression, right, and like get burned. Have to learn how to really get like the Leo energy, the 1 to 7. Really learn how to get everyone on your side before you start like going off, you know. So that's the 5th versus the 11th. Now if we move to the 3rd versus the 9th, the 3rd is Aries. So the things that they just kind of do day to day seem like they're like always changing, right? The Aries, like the selfish action, like it's like kind of up to the moment, right? But it's very like go-getter, like the things that they're gonna want to do day to day. Like if they like film videos, they might be like very like expressive with it, or like if they take walks, like they're probably just gonna like go for runs, right? Like having the Aries here. But like the things that they do day to day ruled by Aries would be like selfish action. Like you're not gonna make an Aquarius pick up a new habit if they don't resonate with it. Like, so yeah. So now if we go to the 9th house, this is Libra. So it's almost like what their actual purpose is almost like dependent on what's like first of all what they value, but also like how that affects things, like the Libra, like the relationship. So it's almost like their purpose is up to like the situation in a way, even though they are a fixed sign. It's almost like they have the fixed understanding, but then their purpose is like, well, like what does it need to be, like Libra, like should we do this or should we do that? But it's going to be for their values. It's like how I value this, like how are we going to boost that, like generating ideas for that. But it isn't a more like they're trying to come at it from a harmonious way. They're trying to like lift everyone up. They're not trying to just go on their own lane forever. They're really trying to be relatable with what they pursue long term. So that's the 3rd versus the 9th. Now the 6th versus the 12th. The 6th is Cancer. So this would be someone when something like does just break down out of the blue, they could get like really worked up about it. Like when you like Cancer doesn't fuck with Mars, so when something just breaks down, Cancer is gonna freak out because they might not necessarily have the Earth element to know how to fix it, right? But this could be someone who yeah, it does seem like a hard placement. Like if you have to develop a new habit, right? Or just like go on the grind, having like the Cancer house here, it might be a little bit difficult to just get on the grind or do the 9 to 5, right? Unless you do find something that you really do resonate with and fuck with, in which case it'd be like super easy, right? But this would be like an emotional house when it comes to just the work that you have to put in when things just break down and you have to deal with it, right? So then when we get to the 12th house, this is when you just can't go any further. This is Capricorn. So this is someone that when they do reach a limit, when they do reach a wall, when they do like have a loss in the family, when there's just something that they have to deal with and they can't move past, right? They're trying to initiate a new structure and they're trying to come at it from like from a Saturnian point of view, Saturn ruled. So they're going to think about just what makes sense. So this is going to be someone that like takes the loss and they kind of take it with a melancholy, right? It's not like freaking out necessarily like Scorpio, or like acting off impulse like Sag. It's just like collecting the information and figuring out what we can do and bring about that might make this a little bit easier, or maybe not even easier, but like comfortable, you know, like while you're going through that or you have to deal with that. So yeah, so that would be Aquarius rising, all houses, bubbling, coming in, crushing this art.